Over 7 wrong calls, 4 penalties denied, mistakes in yellow and red cards, and Didier Drogba losing it on live TV.
Is the strongest official you can put down. This is supposed to be...
The 6th of May 2009 will go down in history as the most controversial game in European football. The semi-final second leg of the Champions League match between Chelsea and Barcelona at Stamford Bridge. The game was full of so many wrong calls, there's never been anything like it ever since. Chelsea and Barcelona go way back. Even before that period of 2009, they met in the Champions League for the first time in 2000. Barcelona versus Chelsea became a frequent fixture in the competition. They met in the 1999-2000 season, met in 2004-05, and even in Barcelona's Champions League winning campaign the following year. They were drawn against each other again, and another clash between the two followed in 2007. Although heated in the past, it never went over the top. The relationship with both sets of players after the games was always with respect, which is why nothing would have prepared either team for that infamous night in 2009. That season, Chelsea and Barcelona were both on incredible European runs. Chelsea were beaten finalists from the year before, looking to reach back-to-back finals for the first time in the club's history, while Barcelona, on the other hand, were looking to do one better than their previous performance of the semi-final exit in the previous season as well. The first leg between the two ended 0-0 at the Camp Nou, and so it was all to play for in the second leg. And with a game of that magnitude to decide a place in the final, UEFA decided to appoint this guy as the main ref. Tom Henning Overbo. In hindsight though, UEFA could have done better. See, Overbo already had a history with making incorrect decisions in big games. Still, Overbo was the man in the middle for this one, and it was all set for a night of chaos and utter confusion. It couldn't have gotten off to a better start for Chelsea. Only 9 minutes in, and Michael Essien's thunderbolt gave them the perfect start. With this goal and away goals being a thing back then, it also eliminated the possibility of penalties, meaning the action was going to be decided in 90 minutes. After Essien's goal, Chelsea sat back, and that's when the chaos started building. They allowed Barcelona to dominate the ball, looking to go long and catch them on the counter, and 15 minutes after Essien's goal, they thought they had it. Overbo's first big mistake of the night. He rightfully gave the foul, but in the wrong position. Bear in mind, there was no VAR back then, so his decisions were the final say in the game. Still, the chances they were creating gave Chelsea more reason to believe they could grab a second against their opponents. So barely a few seconds later, when John Terry flashed a header just wide off the mark, they went harder. The game sparked into life after that. Chelsea, full of energy, came charging at the Barcelona defense again. 27 minutes into the match, and Drogba couldn't believe what he just witnessed. It shouldn't just have been a penalty. That was a red card offense from Eric Abidal. Overbo gave none. The replays clearly show Abidal tugging onto the back of Drogba's shirt, coming across him with his legs, and denying a clear goal-scoring chance as well. Overbo had made the wrong call twice, and the game hadn't even gotten halfway across yet. In the 31st minute, Dani Alves received the first yellow card of the match after a foul on Joe Cole. 9 minutes later, in the 40th minute, Michael Essien should have received a card for a foul even worse on Alves, except that Overbo didn't give any. By the time the first half was over, Overbo was already in the spotlight. At this point, he was the reason why Chelsea weren't possibly 3 goals up yet. The calls and mistakes he made were glaringly obvious for everyone to see, and there was still a full half of football to be played. Into the second half now, and the Chelsea team was wary of the fact that Barcelona could score at any point in the match. The emphasis was on getting what they could off the counter. Barcelona Barcelona dominated possession, and for the opening 5 minutes of the second half, passed the ball around Chelsea. The Blues, meanwhile, continued their pattern of creating on the counter. Drogba missed a great chance to add to the lead after Victor Valdez got a foot on his shot to deny him one-on-one, until Drogba roped Overbo into the spotlight again in the 56th minute. Now Drogba's lost it, just like the rest of the home crowd at Stamford Bridge. He got his body in front of the ball and Yaya Toure. Toure whacked him and the ball. Overbo didn't see it as anything and waved play on. 3 incorrect decisions denied Chelsea 2 penalties already, and the game still wasn't done. At this point, Overbo had lost the plot. 6 minutes later, in the 67th minute, when he did finally blow in favor of the home team, it was the wrong decision.
It's red!
Anelka trips himself and goes down. Overbo interprets this as Abidal fouling him, and in the process sending him off. At this point, he'd now succeeded in annoying both sets of fans, Chelsea and Barcelona supporters. Now, this wasn't a case of him picking a favorite team, it was simply horrible officiating. The game was entering the closing stages now. Drogba went off in the 72nd minute, desperately hoping his team could hang on to the lead, and Barcelona started growing more and more into the game. Despite being a man down, they created chances. Messi had come close, and they were making inroads into Chelsea territory. In the 78th minute, Alex brought down Messi, who was fast approaching the Chelsea goal, but didn't mind the consequences. Anything to win. The yellow card he got as a result meant he was going to miss the final if Chelsea made it through. The 79th minute now, and Overbo finally managed to get one big call correct. Anelka was in on the Barcelona goal, took a tumble and fell. Overbo rightfully judged the decision and seemed like he finally made a good decision to build back. But only 3 minutes later, Overbo once again made the wrong call.
Is that handball against Piqué? The referee says no.
The 82nd minute now, and the ball clearly hit Peake's hand. Everyone saw it, both sets of players. Watch closely and you'll see that even some of the Barca players had stopped with their heads down, expecting Overbo to give a penalty. He once again did nothing, denied a clear third penalty shout from Chelsea, and waved play on. The game had entered the 90th minute now, but the drama was far from over. In the 93rd minute, Barcelona recycled the ball around the Chelsea penalty area. Seemed like the chance had gone when the cross came in and 1-1 connected. Messi worked the ball to Andres Iniesta, and from the edge of the box, Iniesta did the rest and broke Chelsea hearts. The game changed. Chelsea, who dominated from an attacking sense almost all game, was now less than 2 minutes away from staring elimination in the face, and that reality drove them to one final push. In the 94th minute, Lampard swung in a corner. Goalkeeper Cech managed to get something on it before it fell to Mikhail Ballack. He, in turn, took a shot at goal that was blocked with a hand, but Overbo had, in turn, saved his best performance of a horrible night for the last. Not only did he deny Chelsea a 4th penalty claim, but he booked Ballack for appealing for a blatant foul in the process. Stamford Bridge was running wild. The tension that was threatening to boil over had now erupted full scale, and less than 30 seconds later, when Overbo blew the whistle for full time, and the Chelsea players couldn't believe it, they were out of the competition in the space of 90 seconds, and Overbo was going to feel the heat in full flow right after. Barcelona went on to win the Champions League and treble that year, but looking back at the calls that night, it shouldn't have happened. Drogba was banned for 6 European games, and Chelsea as a club got fined $100K for what UEFA termed as a failure of the club to control its players. But the truth is, the real failure that night was UEFA, Tom Overbo, and his match officials. It was a match that threatened to ruin UEFA's reputation. After the game, Gerard Pique was quizzed about his controversial handball in the game, and even he admitted what the truth was. was. The ball touched his hand, but the ref had the final say. Shortly afterwards, Overbo retired from professional refereeing, but his actions on that infamous night at the bridge still live on. Controversial even up to this day. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to Goal Zone for even more content.